Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FrewCast. I believe this is episode 16, and if you can't see the video, I'm so sorry I couldn't figure out how to get this to work. If you can, to my left is the amazing lead singer and lead guitarist, if I'm not mistaken, of the
Right.
band After a Night of Unsettling Dreams, Lulio.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's honestly, I remember just randomly finding your song Samo on Instagram stories. Like that's how it was sponsored to me. And when after like 10 times of it showing up, I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll give it a chance. And instantly I fell in love with every single one of your songs that were released at that point, which right now my favorite has to be Crooked Dentures. I'm really lame. I love that song so much.
Oh, I love that song too.
Uh so one question. When I was asking you about joining me on the podcast and whatnot, uh, and you said yes, I got super excited. So I ended up telling all my friends about how I'm going to have you on. And, you know, with reasonable concern, when I said that your band name, they were like, what? And I was just wondering, how did you come up with it?
Man, actually, it's in some translations of there's a book called The Metamorphosis by Kafka, and that's the first line in some of the it's phrased differently depending on if you look it up, like Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. The first line will be some sort of version of "After a Night of Unsettling Dreams." Um, I don't know. I just like the line. It was kind of relevant to I guess this particular project. I've been doing music for a long time, and I guess I'd gone through a lot of stuff, so a lot of hardships, you could say. I guess the unsettling dreams, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of like I guess meditating on my life thus far. And also, I think I kind of went for something that wasn't explicitly marketable. I don't know why I did that because now that I'm actually booking gigs and telling people, what's the name of your band? And it's kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
It becomes I'm like, damn, maybe I should have had a shorter name. But I don't know, for some reason I was like, I don't want a name that is like explicitly marketable. I think maybe it was a way to keep it pure about the reason I'm doing it is not just to um, I guess quote unquote make it in the
Yeah.
music business, but just like a real expression. But that's that's a struggle, like I think every artist goes through, is you don't want to, like, especially when you're younger, you don't want to sell out, but then it's like you have to make money to be able to continue to do it, because otherwise you have to spend all your energy and resources on something else. So it's like it's kind of like this double-edged sword, where you
Yeah.
don't, so that's just the struggle of everyone who does music that wants to do it for a living, I guess.
Yeah. I've thought about getting into music, you know? Like
Mhm.
I when I was in band, I could play every instrument except for the flute. Fuck the flute.
Mhm.
Uh
Mhm.
but I shined in percussion. I love all things strings. I love all things drums, piano, bells, doesn't matter. I love it. Uh and for the longest time I thought I would get into it because I figured from a very early age I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be famous," you know? I just didn't know how to
I think
attempt
I've
at it, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so after I got kicked out of school, and that's when like the whole music thing started to fall off for me. So I went into shit like this, and I didn't really know how to come up with a name. Uh, so my name is Frosty, but I live in the South where there's nothing fucking cold. The coldest you'll get is the sweat in between your ass cheeks. It's terrible down here. But I figured it was like a okay, snowman living in the blazing heat. It's a double. I
Right,
forget
right.
what it's
The
called.
dichotomy.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of funny, but it took a long time to figure out what I wanted to get called.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean that that's your name, as far as with what you do, that's your identity. So yeah.
yeah.
It
Oh, also, I wanted to bring this up. I didn't know how to, so I'm going to bring it up in the middle of this. When I asked how to pronounce your name,
mhm.
did you get the reference to the song?
No, what was that?
Your song, I forget what it's called, but the opening line is, uh, "No one knows how to pronounce my name."
Oh, right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, okay. That was okay. I didn't get it. I didn't get the reference because, uh, I mean, that's pretty much my whole life is how do you pronounce your name? Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
also did want to make sure. I had it down beforehand, but I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, listening to the song makes me worry that I'm not going to say it properly."
Right. No. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I always get asked, how to, I always say Julio, but with an L, like because people know Julio, but they don't know
Ah,
Lulio. Yeah,
okay.
which is, the only people I know with my name are my dad and myself. Like I grew up in Colombia, and even over there, it's a strange name. There's Julio, but not Lulio. So yeah.
Okay. Um, that's actually really cool. I never want to sit here and assume ethnicity. So like, cool. You're from Colombia and you moved to the US. That's really fucking
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Well, I was actually born here in the States. I've sort of been back and forth. I was born in Virginia actually, but I went to Colombia when I mean, I don't remember like as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any sort of connection to Virginia. My earliest memories are in Colombia, in Bogota. Um, and then I came back here and I did some elementary school, and then I went back. Pretty much my adolescence was, spent in Colombia. So I guess that's kind of when you gain a lot of your identity. So um, during that age. So I say I'm Colombian as a sort of a simple, without giving you this whole
Yeah.
explanation I just gave you. But yeah, I mean, I have strong ties to Colombia. I mean, I grew up there, always, and go back a lot. So my whole family's there. So my extended family, that is. So yeah,
Well, that's really
and my
cool.
mom's from Paraguay too. I gotta
I have no
give her
clue
a
where
shout.
that is. But
It's in South America.
oh,
It's
okay.
it's
Okay.
Argentina. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not geographically gifted.
No, it's all good.
Um, so uh in a lot of your songs, you talk about struggles and whatnot, and I vibe with it. I love that shit. I know that it's kind of odd for me as a 17-year-old to say that I've also been through a lot of struggles, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it's like it hearing some of it, I can't relate to your son getting drunk in his car like you, but, I can relate to some of it. And I just wanna know, when you implement what you've gone through, was is it kinda like your form of therapy?
Yeah, I would say so for sure. I think like if you listen to my music, I guess, and read my lyrics a lot, you'd sort of think that I'm a pretty sort of depressed kind of person, maybe. But I think it's just the function of music. What where I found meaning in it mostly, probably even since I was probably a little kid, a little child. Uh, it kind of like articulates your um, pain. Even if it's your pain is just because something silly, it doesn't really matter, why, or your suffering rather,
Yeah.
um, or what you consider suffering, at a given moment, that's a kind of a relative thing, but yeah, it kind of like I think that's what art does for me, in whether not just music, but typically it's a way, like you said, so I guess it's a therapy, a way to um, I always call it kind of like um, what is that called? When you turn things into gold, alchemy. Like it's like an emotional sort of alchemy. You take something
Yeah.
bad and turn it into something good. Like it makes it.
Lemonade rather than lemons.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
so, so yeah, yeah.
I've I will admit, uh, when I started to listen to your music, growing up,
Hmm.
my dad I classify you as rock?
Hmm.
Do you okay, okay.
Sure.
Uh, growing up, my dad listened to metal, he listened to a lot of rock and all sorts of shit. But as I grew up, I started to lean more into rap, more into, blues, jazz, etc. So your band is literally the first band that I've listened to that's rock
Hmm.
that I found myself and that I actually listen to on a daily basis now. And I how did you get into rock specifically?
Well, I would say that's yeah, that's a very important moment for as far as musically because I wasn't really into rock like that. I mean, growing up, I listened to all sorts of, I guess, pop. You'd hear on the radio, and through my
Yeah,
parents, a lot of Colombian music or music from Paraguay. Um, and I don't know, when I was like 15 or so, something like that, I heard Metallica actually for the first time, and I'd never heard anything like that. I was like, I'd even heard of the name Metallica, and just basically heavy rock music as a whole was considered to be like noise, like it wasn't real music. So I got caught off guard a little bit when I heard that, and I was like, "Wow, this is." I think you're also at a certain age, and that, for instance, that was a song called "The Shortest Straw," and that sort of articulated an anger I had that I didn't realize I even had. I didn't even realize I was an angry person, or that I had, but that helped bring it out, but again in a positive way. Like it's you're doing something. You're doing
yeah,
something with it. It's releasing it. Yeah, and so I got into like I guess that thrash, that late '80s thrash. Anthrax, Megadeth, Metallica, all
yeah,
that stuff. Um, so yeah, that's how I got into the guitar because I was already starting to get into music at that point, but I wanted to learn classical piano is what I was into musically, and then that sort of derailed. me into just wanting to play the guitar the whole time. Although, I continued with my piano, but it kind of it's always kind of been secondary.
Yeah.
I never really got that good at it, but I still love like all sorts of music, really, and jazz. I studied jazz at some point, um, like in college and stuff like that. So, uh, I mean, I like all sorts of music. I try to incorporate other styles, is not just, well, I think that's sort of what rock is originally anyway. It is sort of a mix of different things. It's kind of like some sort of bastard child of music, just kind of
Yeah.
just whatever in it. I think the rock part is just more of the attitude that comes with it.
Yeah, the aggressiveness for sure.
Hmm.
Because like I mean, you see aggressiveness in all forms of genres of music, but
Yeah, yeah, sure,
in
sure.
in rock and metal and punk or whatever disgraced compared to a majority of people's taste,
Right, right,
uh
right.
it's way more just in your face and super aggressive. I like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
about rock. I like that about your music, honestly. Even the songs that are slower, like Lucy or uh, Pronounce My Name, and I forget the other song, Lullaby. Fucking
Hmm.
love it. Like that's a close second to Crooked Dentures. I'm gonna be honest.
Thank you, man.
Um, I haven't yet listened to Tear Me Apart. I believe is the name.
Up into shreds.
Up into okay, fuck it. I'm sorry.
Something like
My apologies.
that.
I
No.
haven't yet listened to that song yet. I am excited for it. Sooner or later, I will subscribe to your Patreon. I'm working on that. Um,
Oh man, thank you. Appreciate that.
but like, it's hard to in a lot of different music that I've listened to. I've noticed that a majority of them always try to stick to what they're best at, or like just one genre. But with you, you go from something super aggressive like alcohol is a drug to Samo and then to Lullaby. And it's really nice to have to be listening to your discography on Spotify and hear something super aggressive and then something super nice and calm to the ears. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's just probably a reflection of just the different music that I listen to, I guess, because I don't just listen to rock. I listen to also, like I said, even classical music and jazz and Latin music. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. Country music, I really like country music a lot. You know, um, Blues for sure. I did my time playing blues for a while.
yeah,
So yeah, it's just it's like a different. Um, it comes out in a different way, like the aggression, for instance, in a if you want like metal song or hard rock song, the aggression is a certain way that, like, I feel like you get aggression out also like in a blues, in a kind of shuffle, kind of, like
yeah,
it's driving and it has you kind of like, you know, grit your teeth, when you play that, and it's just it's like a different flavor of aggression, you know. But yeah, and then the soft songs, that there is that. I guess people are multidimensional. You feel a lot of things.
yeah,
Like from anger and aggression to just more vulnerability. You know, perhaps the sort of like quote unquote sad songs are probably the base. I feel like the aggression is a way to control the sadness, because anger gives you a more of a feeling of control.
yeah.
But it's a destructive feeling, and sadness a little more vulnerable. So But anyway, I don't know how we got into psychology here, talking
That
about music.
no, 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 no. That's my favorite thing about hosting a podcast show. We get to talk about everything. Um, so has are your parents and like your family super supportive of your band?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They are in their own way. I don't think um, they don't sort of understand, I guess, the motivations, artistic motivations. They really don't. They're very in that sense, not politically, but in that sense, they're very conservative. They're old school, you know.
Yeah,
So it's like every time I'll go play a gig or I do something that and I'm like, oh, maybe something you were excited about, and they're like, oh, really? How much did that pay? Everything boils down to how much did you get? Like getting paid is the only motivation to do anything. So yeah, they're supportive. They're supportive people, but I don't think they understand art,
yeah.
or not really art so much as
Your
making it,
drive for it.
making right, 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 right. Which I mean
Yeah,
is it's a valid, concern. You have to survive, so
yeah. My when I first started to get into content creation, that was my parents' first thing. Like as soon as I told them, "Hey, this company is starting to pay me now," after every stream, they would be like, "How much have you made? Are you able to support yourself?" And I'm just like, "No." It's kind of harsh, I will admit, but I I I can see I can see the worry of that part too, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, your parents, of course, they're going to worry about your well-being. And it is anytime you do something that's I guess the alternative way of doing things, it's going to be a struggle, and there is a big uh, risk that you will, I guess, quote unquote, waste your time.
Yeah.
So
My thought on it is it's better to waste your time doing something you like than to waste your time doing something you hate.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all a waste of time. Like it doesn't really matter what you. I mean, the time is once it's gone, it's and you're always going to have a struggle. I mean, if it's not this, it's that. So it might be money right now, but if you had the money, maybe it'd be something else.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess maybe find some sort of middle ground. I don't know.
Um, I don't know where else to go. Oh, like I said earlier, what's something that you are like that you never thought you would have accomplished from this? Like when you first started? Like what have you accomplished that you're like, "Holy shit."
um, Man, that's a hard one because I don't know that I've accomplished
Mm.
anything. But I guess I mean just having music. Like when I started uh playing music, like recording, we didn't now it's people record on their computer, and you just have access to, and you have the knowledge too. You can even look up on YouTube if you're having some issue. It's just a different world. So just recording music like at a certain level of quality, and having it out. I mean, it used to be you just set up a cassette tape, and that was it. I mean, and
Yeah.
if you didn't get a record deal, that was pretty much as good as it was going to get. Um, but I mean, just even doing this, I mean, having you interview me, you know what I mean? Like having people who aren't sort of immediately physically connected to me, listening to music, like eh, there's a lot of pros and cons about the way music is consumed. nowadays. But as far as getting it out there, this just wouldn't have been possible before. Like, you know, and the problem is that if you're in your geographic location, if people might not be into your stuff.
Yeah.
So whereas this allows you to get into other places where people are actually interested, so because yeah, I mean, I talk to people like you, and I talk to people in Japan and in Germany, and all sorts of countries. And so that's pretty cool to me, that the fact that the music's getting listened to. Because any project before this, after Night of Unsettling Dreams one, and I've played in a lot of, I've had a lot of bands my whole life. um I mean, you'd get like a handful of people listen to it, and obviously, people that show up to gigs and stuff. But it's like pulling teeth, especially I'm in Dallas.
Yeah.
um and Dallas is terrible. Like, as far as, there's a lot of talented people here. There is I guess, a music scene, but the fabric of the city itself is so, uh, I guess, hostile. I would say towards that. It was a very conservative, conformist type of culture,
Yeah.
like the main culture here. So it really is a struggle to I guess, survive, or get any kind of love from the city itself. But having said that, there are cool people here, and small groups of, you know,
Yeah. Every
the
now and
city itself.
again, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well,
Every now and again, whenever you post about the aftermath of one of your gigs, I honestly get super happy for you because, like, every now and again, there will be a photo of a fan that showed up, and that shit, I probably won't experience that, like, seeing, like, live feed of somebody actually enjoying your music or something you have created, but, like, seeing it for somebody else makes me super happy.
that's cool. Cool.
Uh, I'm I'm working on a lot of things right now, and obviously the podcast is my biggest thing. But I do have some little projects that I'm working on. Like I'm trying to write a story soon. Uh,
Oh, cool.
I I am thinking about getting like fuck, I don't know how to explain it. Um, like I'm thinking about getting background music for me to sing over, I guess. I guess that's the best way to put it. Or like just to do a cover of something. Like that's something that I really want to do. Um but it's really fucking hard. It's and I don't mean that as in like, ah, this shit is terrible. I hate it. I more mean it like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I mean, anytime you do your own thing, it's uphill, and it just comes with a lot, Like, I mean, I'm sure that the podcast isn't much different than like, being in a band. It's like, it's everything. It's not just doing this, this is sort of the aftermath of doing a whole bunch of other work. Like, I mean, I
yeah,
just think about, like, like, in music is, virtually free at this point. So it's like, I think that, hence the sort of the voices of my parents, like, are you making any money? Because you'll spend, like, just on one song, just weeks, like, writing the song, and then setting up everything for recording, and then, actually, the time it takes to actually get the take you want, and then mixing it, and then mastering it, and then, promoting it, and doing the artwork for it. And it's
yeah,
just like exhausting, and then, the gigs, and trying to book gigs, and blah blah blah, all that stuff. And it's like, after all that, then it's just like, I made 2 cents on this song. It's like, I mean, obviously you don't do it for them, for the money. That's not your motivation. But it's like, damn, need to survive too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
I will admit I tend to listen to all of my music through Spotify, but my car has a CD player, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should, especially if it costs more money, but I would definitely buy CDs. Like
Well, yeah, no,
that's
I want to make CDs. I just haven't made the investment. Again, it's just like, um, it's you have to make them in bulk. So it's like, how
uh
many CDs? I don't want to get stuck with a whole bunch of CDs. I have tapes. I have cassette tapes, which I take to like gigs, and sometimes people buy those off. That's kind of like really getting into certain circles of people who really enjoy that sort of, I guess, vintage technology.
yeah.
Physical cassette tape. So, but yeah, I need to make CDs for sure. I mean, people want vinyl too. A lot of people ask me for vinyl, but I wish I had it. I wish I could make one and give it to that person, and so on and so forth. But I mean, it costs sometimes thousands of dollars to make that happen, and I'm like, ooh man, I can't. I mean, it's like it's just physically impossible for me right now. Just
Yeah.
living on the wire.
I yeah. It sucks to be a creator of any sort, I will admit, especially if you're already fucking piss poor and you're trying to somewhat make a living off of it.
Yeah,
But I think that that's also what makes the most beautiful
yeah,
content,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that determination and the strive to be big, or at least be big enough for whatever you're shooting for.
Or sometimes I think what's cool is the realization that you're not no one's gonna give a shit ever, and so you just really, like, the gloves are off. You have nothing to lose. So
Yeah,
there's something that brings something out of, I think, a person, because now there's no ulterior motive or no, you know, because if you're thinking about like, oh, well, are people gonna like this, or is this gonna, you know, get me into that, then there's something safe about that. So just kind of like just going like,
yeah,
just not giving a shit, then it's gonna create. I mean, that's the best stuff usually is that way. And I'm not saying you even have to be in a bad situation, but that's probably the attitude you need to have. Even if you're in a good situation, you just need to like just need to be free. Just don't care.
yeah. Um, so with me again being 17, I'm unable to fully support you the way that I want to. Like
Oh
if
no, I mean you're doing it right now just by putting the word out. I mean that's a lot.
oh yeah. Yeah, I listening to your music for close to 2 full years at this point.
Mm.
I I want to recommend it to everybody I can. Like I have too. I've shown
Thank
it
you, thank
to
you.
one of my bosses. They actually said that they enjoyed it because they are super heavy into metal. So I was like, maybe you'll like this.
Yeah.
My partner and their family, I recommended all of your music to them. One of them listened to it. They didn't give me a positive response because they don't like a lot of loudness, but they definitely said that it's for music, it's good. So, uh, but yeah, I just that's all I really want to do is to help the not so focused in in the entertainment scene, you know?
Right, right.
Like there's all these other people who make it big off TikTok and make one-hit wonders, and that's all that ever happens.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I mean,
I
that's
don't
that.
I'm not saying that, making music isn't hard. I'm more saying that other people, you deserve more light, you know?
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten more. I was saying earlier, more people listening than I have in any other project. So I mean, you know, the music is doing better than it ever has. So I don't know
Yeah,
about me personally, but the music is um, is doing well. I mean, the point is that it gets listened to and that it means something to someone.
yeah,
Um, I mean, that's the sort of the bottom line and the point of it. You know, that the getting attention and being able to make a living is kind of a incidental thing. That it's kind of a necessary. Of course, you have to be alive to make it, right?
yeah.
So you got to eat. So, but there's other way. Like you just have to figure it out. I mean, it's not. There's no there's no reason why anyone should care. It's like people either care or they don't. It's like
Yeah.
you just have to care as the creator. You have to care, and that's about it. And anything after that is just icing on the cake.
Well, it seems like this Zoom meeting is now running less than a minute. So, before we leave, is there anything you would like to promote and or plug?
I mean, just the new song, and I mean, I'm always putting out new music, so I'm always active until I guess one day maybe I won't be, but for now, I'm always putting out. I'm always working on music, so something's always just kind of I'm playing, in the Dallas area mostly, trying to get out, find some opportunities to go play out in other places.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, for now, yeah. That's
Okay.
about it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Again, this is Lulio from After a Night of Unsettling Dreams. Oh my god. Anyways, like I was saying, that was Lulio After a Night of Unsettling Dreams. Um, fucking, ah, oh my goodness. That was Lulio. Uh, thank you all for watching. He's amazing. Go listen to him. Oh my goodness. Uh, we love you here, and I hope you love you. Go listen to Lulio on After a Night of Unsettling Dreams on YouTube and Spotify. That's all I really know what he does. Uh, he's lovely. Anyways, this is Frosty signing out. Bye, everybody.